Welcome to Tejas, a perfect guide to competitive exams. Hi, I'm Soundarya Khare, your economics faculty. Well, today we are going to make an announcement that we are going to launch the entire economic survey and its detailed analysis in a most comprehensive way, in such a way that the entire economic landscape of India and also the ideas of geopolitical dynamics will be addressed to you in a most comprehensive analytical way. How we are going to cover, like, just take an example of today's lecture. We are going to take social sector. Now social sector, how you are going to actually get points from economic survey, plus also the concepts of economics which are not mentioned in the economic survey but again are very important for this particular chapter to be known in details. Like again the idea of inequality, how we are going to use the concept of Gini coefficient and Lorenz curve to address the ideas of inequality and how to overcome that. So those things will be addressed. Second, the policy making aspect, those will also be conveyed to you, like the policy making aspect, being an individual, how we are going to adjust that dynamics, the approach dynamics, that also we are going to convey. Third, again the ideas of Nobel laureate from India, that is Amartya Sen, how his idea and his idea of welfare economics figures in this particular chapter. So those things will also be conveyed to you. So again it is going to be a conceptual based plus the analytical based and substantiated with the charts and data that is given in the economic survey. So this is going to be that one short solution to all your economic queries. Plus the pointers that we can also include in other papers, like again the paper of society, ethics, how you are going to connect those things, the current affairs aspect, all those things will be conveyed to you. So without any further delay, let's get to the video itself. Also, I would like to request you to please like, share and subscribe, because we are aiming our best to convey the best of resources and best of analysis to you. So we request you to please like, share and subscribe our page and to actually convey it and share it with your friends. And yes, also I wanted to say that we at the end we will come up with a just video where we will cover all these aspects in a summarized way. However, the detailed videos will give you a conceptual quality and also will give you the more analysis that is there. So both the things becomes important, the detailed video and the just video. So stay tuned. Let's get to the lecture itself. So Economic Survey 2024 that we are going to do. The title that I have given to my analysis that I am about to start is Navigating the Economic Landscape with Tejas. Economic Survey 2024 Comprehensive Analysis. Now, you, if get to read the entire survey, will get to know the entire economic landscape of India and also an idea of how the geopolitical dynamics, so the geopolitical dynamics and how it affects the economic scenario. This interconnection thing is very important, and that is what you are going to get an insight from this economic survey, which is a well drafted document. Now the world stage, the economics plus the idea of structure of various aspects of society, of polity, and the idea of resource allocation, that is again the management dynamics, all are interlinked ideas, and everything has at its base one major idea, and that is the idea of economics. So once you get to know about economics, you get to know about the structure of society itself, and that is why the first chapter that I have picked is Social Sector Economic Survey 2024. the social sector chapter actually gives us an insight as into the various dynamics of society. Now one would say कि society तो we can address by doing things like again from ethics paper. But I assure you, once you read the economic survey का society chapter, your own argumentative aspect would improve. And that is what in my introductory video of Tejas, I have introduced you to the personality aspects, to the perspective building idea. And that you are going to do from the analysis itself. So again, the social sector, women, you may think, oh, this is a normal topic, I can do it myself. No, the pointers that I'm going to give you is going to show the examiner how important and how well crafted your analysis is. So that thing you will get to know. So without any further delay, let's get to the thing itself. So these are the notes which will be given to you. India aims to become a developed country. So again, Viksit Bharat 2047. So by the time of 2047, year 2047, we are to become a Viksit Bharat. So right now we are a developing country. Like again in history also you remember like how Trump commented कि India itself is now not a developing country, it is on the trajectory to become a developed country. So why is it that we give them those tax benefits? So that economic debate just 2 or 3 years back, it was very much in news. But the idea is what constitutes a developed country. So again, the dynamics, the structural dynamics, the social dynamics, the political dynamics, everything has its own base in this idea of developed country. So Viksit Bharat 2047, that's the aim. And how we are going to achieve it? So again, the capex, the capital expenditure. Capital expenditure, again, the asset building aspect, which is going to give us what? Multiplier effect. So these are the things that we have to do. So capex, capital expenditure, we have to invest in those assets which are going to give us multiplier effects in future. Multiply, what do you mean by multiplier effects? Multiplier effects means multifold, multiple times. Again, at accelerating pace, you get to have that benefit. So that is capex ka multiplier effect, and that is what our economy presently is doing. In this survey also, the holistic analysis when we'll be doing, we'll get to know how the capex is going to benefit us. So that aspect is there. So again, approach is a thing that we have to discuss. So it is going to be a long term, that is what I've said, capex, long term, efficient and empowering initiatives that are going to take place. So again, just say health spending, growing faster than overall GDP growth. So the overall GDP growth से ज़्यादा है the health spending, because obviously India was criticized for its low health and education expenditure. But now what we are seeing is that we are increasing this. We are overcoming the former lag that used to exist, because now we are at that position where we have to go forward with these ideas. We have to invest on aspects of health, on aspects of education, on aspects of skills development. These are the things in interview also you are asked many times, like what are the 3 priority sector that you would invest in if you become an IAS officer. So those things that you have to keep in mind. So that is there. So new approach to welfare. Now we are also going to discuss about welfare economics, and how we are going to discuss would tell you like how Tejas is actually different from other institutions that are offering the same lecture, because we are also discussing various aspects which are meant to be known by each of us, which are meant to be asked in examination. So that also what we are going to actually include. So new approach to welfare. Universal access to basic amenities is our aim. Empowering citizens. So this empowerment of citizens, a very important term used. So cost effectiveness and effective implementation of programs, use of technology, digital, again digital India. So that is there to improve service delivery. In ethics also we get to know about these idea of e-governance, e-portals, telecommunication. Again all these things are very important. So use of technology, goal oriented budgetary allocation. Key initiatives क्या है? So again the DBT that we have, so DPT, direct benefit transfer. So you must have known about the JAM Trinity, so Jan Dhan Aadhaar, mobile. So all these ideas coming together. So again, idea is what? Idea is to have the overcoming the problem of leakages. which used to happen in society. Like again, what used to happen is that the government used to allocate budget, but was it able to make sure that it reaches the target that we want to reach? No, it never used to happen. The middleman problem used to happen. But now with the digitalization, what is happening is we are overcoming the leakages problem. This is a main point that you can write. This is an essay point that you can write. So that is the expansion of social security schemes for the unorganized sector. So again, this is a very important e-shram portal. E-shram portal. Very important, e-shram portal. So these are the things that becomes very important. Registration, unorganized, how to bring unorganized sector within the economic fold of registration, of documentation. So that is what we are making sure. So e-shram portal, you have to read about it, you have to know about it. In the schemes chapter, we will particularly discuss all these schemes, like what it means. In a prelims, there are questions on this. So that is their CSR spending को increase करना है. So that is again, so corporate social responsibilities, company making profit should also spend a percentage of that profit on social activities for the social development, because obviously they are using resources of the society, so they should also pay to the societies. That's the basic philosophy. So that philosophy, that basic idea you have to know. So that is there. And welfare economy, this is not mentioned in our economic survey, but since this is going to be a holistic comprehensive analysis, so I have covered Amartya Sen as well. So Amartya Sen, who is a Nobel laureate in economics 1998 mein he was economics the Nobel prize in economics. So again, this becomes very important because of his contribution to welfare economics. So that approach thing that we are talking about, approach, so that has the basic idea of welfare economics in its own being. So that becomes very important. So how economics can be applied to enhance human well-being? So the well-being approach, capability approach. So these are the things that we are going to learn today itself. So again, he introduced the concept of capabilities as a crucial measure of well-being, arguing that true welfare should be assessed not just by material wealth but the opportunities and freedoms individuals have to lead valuable lives. Very important. So again, even in our polity, we have this concept of all-round development. All-round development. How we are going to make sure that it happens all round? Just meeting the basic amenities of food and shelter is not enough. Food, clothing and shelter is not enough. What is also important is to have those opportunities in which a human being can have a human existence. So again, the philosophy of humanity, humane, how to make those things realizable. So that's the basic approach. So all round development, even in our fundamental rights, when we study, we are talking about those ideas of all round development. Like in fundamental rights, article 21, right to life, it is a very expansive term. That is how Supreme Court has interpreted it. And similarly in economics, we have the idea of all-round development, the welfare economics, and that is very much represented in our constitution itself. You get to know that our constitution has at its base the philosophy of welfare. So that aspect is there, and that is what is very much representative of India's Nobel laureate, that is Amartya Sen. So Sen's capability approach emphasizes the importance of assessing people's ability to achieve various functioning such as healthy, educated, having opportunities for political participation rather than merely focusing on their income or utility levels. Very important aspects. So he does not, he goes beyond, he tries to go beyond the headcount ratio. You cannot say that there are 5 people who are below poverty line. No, those 5 people, उनका intensity क्या है? What is the intensity level of poverty, what all areas are they deprived of, and what all improvements they need to live that welfare, holistic, comprehensive human existence. So that's the basic idea. So going beyond the head count, that's the thing. So it is very important for economists, for policymakers and for scholars worldwide. So again, this is a thing that has had a profound impact on development economics. So developmental economics, a separate branch in economics itself, which talks about the idea of development and what is development. Like there is a difference between growth and development. So growth is like again percentage of GDP that you spend. That's sorted. A road is to be built, 20% of the GDP on road this year spent. Once it is spent, growth is calculated. Okay, done. Done deal. But it is different from the concept of development. Growth has happened because the expenditure has taken place, but that expenditure, was it at the right place? Has it benefited many people? On what areas has it benefited? So real definition is the development definition. It is not, it goes beyond the numerals, it goes beyond the numerals. And that's a very important point to be noted. So it goes beyond the numerals. It talks about the holistic, realistic, comprehensive development. कि भाई benefit हुआ कैसा है? It is not just limited to percentage. It is not just limited to numbers. It is in actual terms what is going to be the development scenario. What all benefit it is going to give us. So that's the basic idea, and that is very much a central idea in Amartya Sen's welfare economics. So trends in social service expenditure by general government. So combined center and state. So this is data directly taken from Economic Survey 2024. So the total expenditure you see. So again REB, revised estimate, budget estimates. So the actual happening that has happened in 2022-2023, what we see is that expenditure on social services has increased. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 21. So again it has increased. So that upward sloping graph that you get to see, and this is a very much actually a representative of what? Of the social dynamics, of the economic dynamics. Economics, econometrics providing base to society. Okay, econometrics. So again the measurements of economics is going to actually provide the base to society, and that is reflected in the various expenditure patterns.
So here are the pointers that I have given from the graph. So in this particular format, what you are going to actually get is a perfect picture. Like these are the analytical points that I have prepared for you, derived from economic survey itself. So what this graph actually says, you just don't have to remember the larger picture, but also some pointers which are very important, you have to have an idea of. So overall expenditure trend this graph shows is that there has been an increase year on year. So that is what you get to see. So what we also develop an understanding is that there is a doubling of expenditure over a 7-year period, that is from 2017 to 2023-24. We see that there is a doubling of expenditure on social dynamics, and this is a very important point. Expenditure as a percentage of GDP, which is also given in this particular graph, also shows that the social services expenditure as a percentage of GDP has generally increased from 6.7% in 2017 to 7.8%. So generally increased. We'll come to the peculiarity of this term in coming pointers itself. So the highest projected percentage is 8% in 2022-23 RE, that is revised estimates. Sector-wise breakdown, if we see, education consistently receives the largest share of social service expenditure. A very important pointer, health expenditure shows a steady increase both in absolute terms as well as in percentage of GDP. So again a very important pointer. So education expenditure as a percentage of GDP has remained relatively stable. So relatively stable. This is a very important point. Ranging between 2.7% to 2.9%. However, its share of total social services expenditure has declined from 42% in 2017 to an estimated 35% in 2023-24. So the relative proportion, what you have to actually analyze from this, that relatively it's stable. However, as a percentage of social services expenditure, the total social services expenditure, what we see is that there has this tendency of decline when compared from 2017 levels. So that is also you have to keep in mind. Health expenditure as a percent of GDP increased. So that's there, and it grew. So That's a very important point. Expenditure as a percentage of total government expenditure. So social service expenditure as a percentage of total government expenditure has slightly increased from 25% to 26% in 2023-24. So as a total government expenditure, so overall there is a clear picture that we have this idea that there is an increase. So that's a thing that you have to keep in mind. However, what also becomes very important, the analytical point, is that there is a shift in priorities. What? In what terms? In allocation priorities, with health and others gaining a larger share of social services expenditure over time, while education share has decreased. So health, like again, this is a very important sector, but in terms of proportion, what we get to see that now there is a shift in priorities. Like again, we are emphasizing now more on health. So that is a comparative term. This is not an absolute terms. There is a comparative terms. Okay. COVID-19 impact, that is very evident. So 2020 fiscal year shows some deviations from trends, possibly due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a very huge thing. So there is a notable increase in overall social service expenditure as a percentage of GDP, because obviously that those times the migrant crisis and all those things happen, and we knew the situation. So obviously government had to take the responsibility, and that is why government becomes that thing, that agent which plays a very important role in society and in state. So this is a very important thing that you have to keep in mind, and that is why the entire privatization debate also comes into picture. Like entire economy cannot be privatized, because again government is a major thing. It has to be a strategic stakeholder in certain number of things, and that is a point to be kept and to be pondered. This analysis highlights that the Indian government's increasing focus on social service with particular emphasis on health in recent years, while maintaining substantial investments in education and other social sectors. So that's the crux that you get to see. So this is the analysis point that I have made for you, so that this graph becomes very easy. So don't fear the numbers, just get the points out of that. So that's the thing. So let's continue.
Now next is that is mentioned in economic survey is the multi-dimensional poverty index. Poverty, again multi-dimensional. Poverty is not just the calorie thing that you get to see. No, it is beyond that. Again multi-dimensional. Again Amartya saying what you have to talk about is that the aspects of poverty, food, again what you cannot fulfill to live that essential human life. So all those aspects is covered under the idea of multidimensional. So it's a measure developed by United Nations Development Program to assess poverty. So again, first we are going to talk about UNDP's multidimensional poverty index to assess a poverty from a multidimensional perspective, going beyond the income-based measures like the traditional poverty lines. Just like again saying that you are earning this much, okay, we are poor. No, there are multiple aspects to poverty, okay, which goes beyond the income. Income is just one aspect of things. The MPI aims to capture multiple dimensions that people may experience simultaneously. Key points. So dimensions, again education, health, living standards are the things that are there. Indicators, so again within each there are multiple things. For example, indicators for education may include years of schooling and school attendance rates, while indicators for health could include nutrition, child mortality, access to health service. So again accessibility also is what we are talking about. So those things also becomes important. Thresholds, so that is there, like this is a threshold measurement. Again calculation. Utility, what is the utility? Policy makers. So again how you are going to make a policy, you have to have economic survey in your mind. So utility, so that is there, so that you can make good policies. Global application, so it has been used various times. And criticism, despite its advantage, the MPI also faced some criticism. Some argue that the selection of dimensions and indicators may not capture all aspects of poverty equally well in every context. So again the context, now like different nations have different context to play. So how you are going to, like you have talked about major things, education, health, living standards, but again there are different conflicts, like new problems that are emerging, like environmental problem, environmental refugee. So how you are going, that is also reflected in various aspects of living standard, but again there is a criticism that there can be contextual problems, so that you can keep in mind. So complexity also that is there. So dimensions of well-being beyond income alone. So that's the basic idea. So This is directly from the economic survey. The National Multidimensional Poverty Index has been estimated for India by Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog, which is in line with global MPI published by the UNDP. जो MPI हमने किया है, so health, education and standard of living split across 12 weighted indicators. The MPI is thus obtained as a product of headcount ratio and intensity. That is what I was talking to you in the beginning of the lecture also. Na? So headcount ratio, number of people. So number of people plus each one on what all aspects are poor. So intensity of poverty, very important aspect. So just going beyond the headcount ratio and also taking the idea of intensity levels, dimension levels into its own learning in calculating the MPI. So India's progress in MPI from 2019-2021 versus 2015-16. So comparison has been drawn. So obviously there is going to be an improvement. Decline is driven by declining deprivations in nutrition, years of schooling, sanitation. So obviously there is an improvement, which is a positive picture. Region wise, if we see, this trend is driven by rural India. So again, rural India has performed well, with the most significant improvements occurring in states like Bihar, MP and UP. So this important. So again, Bimaru states, that's a derogatory term that used to actually happen and used for states like Bihar. Again, what is happening is, though they were very much performing bad on various parameters, but now there is an improvement that is also evident, and that is to be kept in mind. So significant improvements occurring in states like Bihar, MP and UP. So these are the good points. So headcount ratio of multidimensional poverty and intensity of multidimensional poverty. So this comparison is given. So 2015-16, 2019-19 wala is represented by orange color, 2015 is represented by blue color. So obviously you see that there's a improvement. Okay, there's an improvement. So this is a very important. So in headcount also there's an improvement, and in terms of what intensity there is an improvement. So that's the picture that you get to see. So decline in the deprivation across the multidimensionally poor population. So that's there. So health, education and standard of living. So nutrition, child and adolescent mortality, maternal health, years of schooling, school attendance, cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets, bank account, all these parameters are taken into consideration. So you see, going beyond the headcount, going beyond the numbers and calculating multidimensional aspects and intensity of the same. So that's there. So economic survey points. So India's multidimensional poverty index nearly halved from 0.117 in 2015-16 to 0.066 in 2019-20. 2019 to 2021. This is a data that you can remember if you want to quote somewhere. An estimated 13.5 crore Indians escaped multidimensional poverty between 2015-16 and 2019-21. So significant improvements Bihar, MP, UP. Household consumption expenditure survey insights are also given. So that's there. So monthly per capita consumption expenditure increased. So this consumption expenditure, very important thing. So again, per capita consumption expenditure. So GDP, in GDP calculation, you are very much focused on this idea. So consumption pattern kya hai? How it is happening? How is there an increase? So again, consumption pattern, all those things, government क्या expenditure करे, these things becomes very important. So again, private sector का क्या है? So अगर हम देखें household का, so what becomes evident is monthly per capita consumption expenditure has increased in rural areas by 40% and 33% by in urban areas. So again, the rural increase, that also you get to see. So comparative terms में there is an increase in rural areas. Now we get to see decline in inequality as measured by Gini coefficient. Now what is Gini coefficient? Economic survey, simply this data is given that there is a decline in inequality as measured by Gini coefficient. Now you will get to know about questions in your prelims, whether you are aiming at UPSC or state services or SSC, you will get a question on Gini coefficient. What it is, how it is derived, and again what it implicates, what is Lorenz curve. So again, Lorenz curve. So these are the things, prelims, again very important topics. These are the whole chapters in itself in economics. So I will tell here only. So Gini coefficient, what it is. So faster, let's cover further points, or let's come to the Gini coefficient itself. I have used these pictures also. So what is Gini coefficient? So it's a measure of income distribution. So it's a measure of income distribution across population expressed as a number of between 0, 0 indicates perfect equality, and 1 that indicates perfect inequality. How it is, what it is, let's see. So Gini coefficient is what? A upon total surface, that is A plus B. So this region is A and this entire region is A plus B. So A upon A plus B. So again this becomes how curvier this line is. It gives an idea how deep inequality is. Like this is the line that represents perfect equality. Okay, this is the line that represents what? Perfect equality. Which line I am talking about? This particular line. This represents perfect equality. Now if this line were here, it would have suggested that the economy is perfectly equal. However, the more it deviates, the more it deviates, the more unequal the society is. So again, how this inequality happens, how you calculate it, it is represented by Gini coefficient. So the curvature this line is the idea of what? Inequality. This was the line of what? Perfect equality. The more the deviation from here, the more unequal aspects of society you get to know. Now this line is what? This line itself becomes the Lorenz curve. This is the Lorenz curve, guys. Very important. Okay. So again, this aspect becomes very important. So the more curvier this line is, the more unequal the society is, and that's your Gini coefficient. What is the line of perfect equality? See, here I have made this for you. So G1 is equal to 0. 0 is the point of what? Of perfect equality. It coincides, the line coincides with each other. It's a form of perfect equality. But now see, it has started deviating. The more the deviation, the more unequal the society is. And if it is like this, total inequality. And this is a very bad picture, guys. We do not have to have like this. We have to have like this. But again, this is a utopia. Okay, because perfect equality, how you're going to happen? Is it achievable? Yes, it is very much achievable. But again, we have to work towards it. The policy makers have to work towards it. The economists have to work towards it. So that you have to see. And because the society is unequal, we have conflicts. Again, your society. We have regional conflicts. We have various other conflicts. We have gender conflicts. We have gender conflicts. Why it happens? Gender dynamics. Because again, the pay scale is not very much equal. It is men get to pay more for the same job that they may perform as women. The same job they are getting more in many of the societies. This is a problem. Gender inequality. How you are going to overcome that? So again, gender budgeting. There is a question in UPSC, gender budgeting, what it is. So all these aspects you have to keep in mind. Now again, African nations, there is a level of conflict that is happening. Why? Because again the society is very much unequal. So those inequalities that exist, it's a problem. So that's there. So again, entire pointers of Gini coefficient that I have given to you. So definition. So again, that's their calculation, interpretation. Again, equality levels, all those things. What are the limitations? Global comparison. So again, wealth distribution and all those things. For example, Scandinavian countries typically have lower Gini coefficient, indicating more equal income distribution compared to many developing nations. So Scandinavian, that is why it is said that their living standards is very good when compared to other developing countries, when compared to African nations. So this is a problem, and that is why people want to migrate towards the west, so that east-west divide, that north-south divide. In international relations, you will be talking about that. So that becomes a problem. Okay. So these are the pointers that I have given. You can read, and you have to keep the idea in your mind. So that's there. So again, the Lorenz curve that you get to see. So that was also what I've talked about. So the Lorenz curve is a graphical representation used in economics and sociology to visualize income or wealth distribution within a population. It provides a visual depiction of inequality by plotting the cumulative share of income or wealth received by the cumulative percentage of households or individuals. So again, wealth and population dynamics, how it is distributed, what is the equality status. So those things that you get to see. Okay. So perfect equality, interpretation, Gini coefficient, utility, limitations. So all those pointers are there. So these are the things, these are the concepts that we are discussing, which are actually going to benefit you holistically, whether it is your mains examination, your interview, and these questions are the questions which have been asked and which will again be asked in your prelims. So all way it is going to actually happen, and even if you are debating, these are the pointers derived from economic survey, built on concepts that are being given to you, and that is going to benefit you. So that is what we are going to make sure. Next in our social sector is the topic of healthcare expenditure and outcomes. Now this is a very important topic because health is that dynamics which helps in actually forming the base of its society. It's that roots, because again if people are healthy, they are in future are going to act as assets. Okay, in very crude terms I'm saying this, but yes, they are going to act as assets, and that becomes a very important thing. So how the economy in future is going to work depends on how healthy, nutritious their kids are. So that's things like again we are talking about this problem of intergenerational equity or inequity, because what happens is like a poor child may not get the nutrition, the right nutrition that he or she should get, and that is what is going to reflect in future. So that vicious cycle is going to continue, and that becomes a problem. So how to overcome this, how to overcome this dynamics, like again is a questionable aspect, but again we are working towards it. We are working by increasing our health expenditure, by improving our health infrastructure. So those are the things that becomes very important. So government health expenditure as share of GDP and total health expenditure has increased, and that is what I have just reflected to you. These are the pointers. This survey is also going to help you in various prelims question, because the reasoning aspect when it comes to analysis of topics is very important, and that is what we are seeing in recent trend of examination, that you get to ask this reasoning type of questions, this analysis kind of questions. So those things also becomes very important. So government health expenditures increased. Primary health care, so primary health care increased from 51.3% of GHE in financial year 2015 to 55% in financial year 20. So this is very important, because primary healthcare, that is again is to be very much focused. So when it comes to tertiary, so that's the high end things that is done, but primary healthcare, so again the day to day affair of things of health is very important to be addressed. Out of pocket expenditure as a percentage of this thing has declined. So again, out of overall health expenditure, what we see is that there is a decline in out of pocket expenditure. Now what is out of pocket expenditure is that a person's pocket, out of that what percentage going out for health expenditure, and that should be as less as possible, because again health is a thing that our society has promised, our government has promised, our state has promised, because again the idea of welfare, we as it is a concept that is at the center. So health, so again those aspects, like again the pressure on pocket when it comes to health, when it comes to basic health, should be as less as possible. And what we see is that there's a decline, which is actually a good point. Social security expenditure on health has increased, which is also a good point. Key health indicators like infant mortality and maternal mortality rate have improved. So again, these ideas are very important, and this reflects what? This reflects a good picture. We are on a good trajectory, and that is what you have to keep in mind. Now, one important point that is mentioned in this year's health survey, can you? Economic survey is the mental health aspect. So again, the mentality, the psychological, again the idea of stress, anxiety, depression, all those things are actually talked about, because this is one major problem, and that is what we have to address. So new definition of health understanding we are actually able to gain an idea of, because health now is not limited to just physical being, it is also related to overall well-being when it comes to mental status. That is what the actress Deepika Padukone has also highlighted. Like again, depression is very much a thing, you have to actually address that. The societal dynamics is actually happening, the way it is actually creating pressures is something that is not tolerable, and that is something that is to be addressed. The social pressure, the media trial, again one controversial thing, IS Pooja Khedkar case. Now if you see, the media trial has happened, yes, even if she is proven guilty, whatever the cause is, let the courts decide. And the point is, even if she is culprit, or even if a person is culprit, we cannot harass them with trolling and all those aspects. So this media trolling that happens is a very problematic aspect, and that is something that is to be actually addressed. We as a responsible society has to address this issue, and this is very much a reality. So the trolling thing should end. So all those things, like again the question emerges, AI, now we are depending upon artificial intelligence, but is artificial intelligence actually capable of emotional intelligence? That's a question, because in future what we are seeing, that there is a trend towards artificial intelligence, but will it be able to also be emotionally intelligent? Will it be able to actually curtail points of media trolling that happens? Will there be any security check? Is it going to be bias free? So these are the essay topics that you actually can deliberate on. So rising prevalence of mental health issues globally and in India, especially among youth. So again, pressure, social media, family dynamics, again family pressures and all those things, socio-economic environment, all those things create various mental issues. So again, government initiatives like National Health Mental Health Program, Tele-Mental Health Program, and various youth-centric programs have been launched, and there is a aim to increase the number of psychiatrists to actually have this idea. Like again, you can talk about the new education policy that we have, is that there is a focus on health aspect of what, of physical as well as mental being also. So again, a student who is studying in school gets bullied, so how to overcome that, how to actually develop that mindset that you overcome that bullying aspect. So those are the things that we have to talk about. So investments in health and sanitation, Mission Indradhanush and sanitation through programs like ODF and ODF Plus and Swachh Bharat Abhiyan have led to lesser disease incidence. So that's their National Family Health Survey. Now this is an important survey which you can quote. So this is released by government. So the percentage of children aged 12 to 23 months who are fully vaccinated have increased. So there's an increase in the vaccination as well. So that is again a good point that you can quote. Key healthcare schemes क्या है? So Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So health insurance scheme cover the underprivileged families. So that was a very good and a revolutionary scheme. So that you can quote PM Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So again the generic medicine and all those things. You get to see Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, creating national digital health ecosystem, e-Sanjeevani telemedicine, so e-Sanjeevani, online digital aspects, that again entering the medical field. So those things, those reforms are very important. Impact of health insurance. So Ayushman Bharat has led to significant savings in out-of-pocket expenditure for poor families. A study found that Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana implementation correlates with a reduction in non-performing assets rates in microfinance loans, indicating broader economic aspects of health insurance programs. So this is a very important point that you can actually quote, and that is what, like quoting data is not always important. Quoting pointers or ideas are very important things, and this is one idea. So again, health insurance penetration has led to reduction in MPA. So that actually reveals what? Like again, health में expenditure किया, out of pocket expenditure कम हुआ, so obviously banking operations में improvement दिखना, क्योंकि people are now willing to relatively pay their loans. They are in that better off position. So that's the pointer that you get to see. Mental health of children and youth. So again, rising prevalence of mental health issues among adolescents exacerbated by COVID-19 pandemic, because obviously people were within the four walls and obviously not gaining that thing. Many have lost their family members, so of that pressure, again, COVID-19 pandemic and how it created a havoc in the society. Concerns about the impact of internet and social media on mental health, like again that scroll down factor, like you keep on watching shorts and shorts and shorts, but it actually reduces your mental retention capacity, or memory capacity is reduced. So that problem is also to be addressed. Policy recommendations. So economic survey gives some policy recommendation, and that is the increase the number of psychiatrists, develop comprehensive guidelines, involve individuals with personal experience in decision making. So not only limiting to policymakers, but also involving individuals with experience in decision making processes, a very important point. Integrate mental health intervention in schools, address stigma. So that's there, and the approach is whole of community approach. So whole of community approach, all stakeholders are to be included. So that's the thing. CSR, now corporate social responsibility. So again, the idea is that big companies, they are earning good profits. So obviously they are using society's resources, so they have responsibility towards the society also. And that is why the legal mandate on CSR applies to companies that have net worth of 500 crores or more, or annual turnover of 1000 crore or more, or net profit of 5 crore or more. So these are companies which meet these parameters are actually legally mandated to have CSR, that is, they have to engage in corporate social responsibility. Companies coming under CSR mandate are required to spend 2% of their average net profit of the preceding 3 financial years on social media programs that focus on the causes listed in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act 2013. So these criteria. So again, there was a question on CSR into 2023 also. So these things becomes very important. So the criteria and the percentage that is they are required to pay is listed in this particular point. So you have to actually get that memorized. So what is the analysis of economic survey? So public sector units, which constitute about 2% of the companies under CSR mandate, contribute to 17%. So again, the relative performance of public sector units when it comes to corporate social responsibility is actually better off. So that is what you get to see. They are just 2% of the companies under CSR. However, they contribute 17% towards CSR amount. So that's there. Sector-wise, if we see, more than 3/4 of total CSR spends in the top 4 development sectors, that is education, health and sanitation, rural and environment. So these are the sectors which actually gets the maximum of CSR contribution, and that is what economic survey has pointed out. Underdevelopment areas relatively less funded, so this is a problem that we have to overcome. School education. Now from health we come to school education. So again, new education policy aims to revamp school education, very important. So again, like I was talking about this idea, how to improve critical thinking among students, all these ideas, and how to overcome stress. So all these ideas are given in NEP. There can be a separate question on this. So that's there. Key initiatives include implementing early childhood care and education, foundational literacy, multilingual aspect, interdisciplinary approaches. Major government schemes are listed so that you can read. PDF will be given to you. Progress in school infrastructure. So again, CAPEX, multiplier effects, that is there. New curriculum that has been actually designed. So female education equity, faster growth. So equity, again gender equity, region equity, again caste equity that we have to meet. So that's there. Automated permanent academic account registry creates unique IDs and lifelong academic credentials. So APAR, so these are the digital initiatives that are also launched. So very important. Social empowerment, obviously rising gender budget. So gender budgeting idea that I talked to you. So gender budgeting, that is there. So that's there. So there's an increase. So 218% increase over financial year 14. So from 2014, if we compare to today, there is a increase of 218% in gender budgeting. So that's there. So towards equity we are going. Health indicators, so obviously sex ratio at birth improved from 918 in 2014 to 15 to 930. So presently it is 930. So 930 girls per 1000 boys. So sex ratio of birth at birth. Maternal mortality has declined from 130 lakh lives birth to 97 lakhs. So there's an improvement that we get to see. Institutional deliveries have increased. Nutritional security is actually received. So Mission Saksham Anganwadi. So Anganwadi Poshan. So again nutrition. Again we are coming with the idea of overcoming micronutrient sufficiency. So again towards micronutrient sufficiency, again we are introducing fortified crops. So again, crops are fortified with nutrition. So that's their health, wellness, and immunity. So these things, access to basic necessities, safety initiatives. So again, Sakhi centers for medical or legal and police facilitation centers. So again, women helpline number 181, education and skilling, women in science. So again, STEM field. So that is there. So there's an increase and initiatives like Vice Kiran and Vigyan Jyoti to boost women's participation, breaking into male bastions. So again, fields which were earlier considered as masculine and not feminine enough, but now women are entering into that, fighting parades, commandos, and Central Police Force, political empowerment, Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan 2023, we'll be covering it in polity, reservation of seats for women in legislature, 46% of elected panchayat representatives are women. So again, however, the problem comes is that that of what? Like there used to be the serial that was titled as Nimki Mukhya, very popular TV serial that used to come, and there it has been displayed that though it is women who has been nominated who actually heads the panchayat, but it is actually her husband who is running the panchayat, and that becomes a problem. So how to overcome that? So that is again a question of debate and discussion. Transformation of feminine identity, ration cards in the name of eldest women. So those things that are there, joint or sole ownership of houses under PM Awas, financial inclusion. So these things you can read on your own. Next is economic empowerment. So again, rising female participation. So this becomes important. So labor, female participation. So again, last year Nobel laureate, she has also talked about this idea of labor force participation and gender representation. I'll be discussing that also. So rising labor force participation, female LFPR has increased from 23% to 37% in 2022-23. Very important. You have to actually write this. But the problem is that they are mostly agriculture related work. So that is there, but again in agriculture what we face is the problem that it is like women are not given the mainstream agriculture positions. They are rather doing works which are not very much calculated in economics. So how to overcome that? That is a problem that is there. Case study is given of Krishnanganagri district. Industrial investment led to job creation. So industrial investment, so industry. So again, those investments are actually giving social benefits. So that is also you can talk about. Financial inclusion, rural microfinance. So Deen Dayal Antodaya Yojana. So all those things that is there. Manrega, specifically Manrega is actually to be talked about. So that becomes very important. There can be a specific question on this. There has been a question on Manrega. So Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme provides 100 days of guaranteed wage employment to rural household. So this is the definition. So 100 days guaranteed wage employment to rural household. So again the phenomena of social audit, all those things that actually happens, like how you are going to see whether they receive the work or not. So these are the questions that are there. So there are certain challenges in Manrega implementation, that is again institutional capacity, all those things we have, leakages that happens. So these are the problematic aspects, and here we complete our society chapter, which is a very detailed chapter, but it is a chapter that gives you the base to various other subjects in GS also, and to your own debating skills. So we have discussed multiple ideas. We have discussed Amartya welfare approach. We have discussed what not. We have discussed Gini coefficient. We have discussed various aspects of health, of education, of MPI, data. Then we have discussed about schemes. Then we also have discussed about gender dynamics, the subaltern dynamics, all these things we have discussed, and that shows how economics can supplement your society and vice versa. So these things are very important, and economic survey, very well drafted, gives a very clear picture how there is an increasing trend that we get to see, and there is a scope in economy to actually improve. So that's there. So please like, share and subscribe. Tejas, a perfect guide to competitive exams. We'll be coming with more chapters and discussion of economic survey. These are the detailed videos. At the end, we will come also with the gist video for you guys. So please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.